Well, welcome everybody. I'm gonna patch in Vira now. Patching in Vira. Let's see if he makes it in here. Oh, there he is. Beautiful. Okay. Welcome, Vira. I just spent the last 5 minutes criticizing you in my mind for showing up late because I thought that you were leaving me hanging, and then I realized that my Instagram was frozen. Nobody could join it, and then Bryn was trying to tell me, but her voice wasn't coming through. I was like, Bryn, what's wrong with your computer? I can't hear you. And I realized that my computer was on mute, and I was. Isn't that the way it normally goes? Everything's dysfunctional, and you're blaming everyone around you without realizing, like, wait a minute, I'm the dysfunctional one. I'm the one that's.
It's a great realization, buddy.
Oh, Christian, what is it when you point a finger at someone? There's three pointing back at you.
Yeah, you are. You care so much, and so that's how I always recognize your intensity and your desire to serve. If there's ever any friction that creates a little fire, it is the desire to serve. And so
That's your beautiful salient quality, Vera. You always see the good in others. Something I appreciate about Vera is that I've known Vera for a number of years now. I've never ever seen Vera or heard Vera say anything negative about anyone. I've never even heard it. And beyond even that, and there's been plenty of opportunities. I've given him plenty of opportunities. And even I've noticed that sometimes, because we have so many management meetings here at the Bhakti Center, and he's a community leader, and there's so many people, and sometimes you take criticism, or sometimes you take praise, or kind of this and that's all coming, that even in meetings or conversations, even if the conversation just sort of turns towards speaking about somebody else negatively or gossiping, like, you get uncomfortable. And it's like you shift the conversation back towards like seeing the perspective of the other person, or like it's just not comfortable for your being. And I always appreciate about the, and I think about that often. I don't have a bracelet to go with it, but I often think like, how would Vera approach this person, or how would Vera look at this person, or you know what I mean? Like if I finding myself getting like a little critical or judgmental, I think of like, oh, like that's out of alignment, integrity, how Vera would respond to that. So I think you're a shining example of Sri Chaitanya said there's two things we need to do to perfect our life. One is to always chant the holy names of the divine and never criticize others, and I think that a lot of us can do the chanting part, or it's fun of hearing that, but the not criticizing others, like that's a hard one, because it's an extension of pride, it's an extension of insecurity, extension of all those things, and you do that very well. You're very good at it. I think better than anyone I know.
Thank you for your love, DG, for seeing me through the eyes of love. I feel it, and super, super grateful. I'm in process with all
it's
of it.
It's more the eyes of envy, but it's okay.
It's love. I know that. I know it is love, and super grateful to be with you guys this morning, and super grateful. You're always empowering, Baba. You're one of the most empowering people in my life, and so many practical ways coming into my life and encouraging me and lifting me up and seeing the best in me. And I think it's so much of what this morning live is about. It's about lifting each other up, and that helping us to illuminate our consciousness, helping us to reconnect spiritually, and to see that in each other, is such a powerful effect that it can have on when we're seeing with love, when we're seeing somebody seeing the soul, they're seeing the good in us, they're seeing it. And so you're seeing that in me right now. You're pulling it out. And so I appreciate it, Baba. Appreciate you so much.
Just love you. You've been a bright light in my life, and I always appreciate your friendship, and always appreciate the humor and the laughter that we could have, and so
let's keep it shining.
Grateful.
Let's keep it shining.
Let's keep it shining. And we're gonna get rolling this morning. Thank you all so much for being here. For those who don't know us, I'm Doyal Gaurangadas, here with my good friend and partner in crime, Vira Doyal, the executive director of the Bhakti Center, and we've been doing the prayer revolution for a month now. Every morning we get on here for half an hour. We say a little prayer. We throw one up above, and we have a discussion about what it means to actually live in a mood of prayer. Because it's easy to, it's interesting that when when things are going wrong, we ask, we ask for help to get better. But generally, when things are going great, we normally don't give the credit to, to a divine power. We just think it's about time, or I can't believe I did it, or I'm so lucky. You know what I mean? As opposed to recognizing that at every moment, what does it mean to invite divine guidance into the conversations that I have, into the way that I parent, to the way that I do business, into the way that I structure my hobbies, into the way that I, go about my thinking, my feeling, my love, whatever it might be, to bring that in. And so that's a daily meditation. It takes support, it takes reminders, and it takes, um, you know, focus. And so we're here to just do that with each other. And so Vira leads us in a prayer every day. Actually, I wanted to read something before we started. A friend of ours, all the way from one of our listeners from Texas, she wrote me, Hare Krishna, I've been meaning to write and tell you how much I am loving, capital Loving, the prayer revolution, exclamation mark. It's like a reset for my day, especially Vira's prayer. Gives me so much focus and inspiration, and your insights have given me so much to think about and journal, making so many connections I'd love to share with you. So that was a little shout out we got from one of our friends in Texas. And so people loving Vira's prayers. So what's on your heart this morning, Vira?
So yeah, let's dive into prayer. Let's take this take a few minutes for that, and I can share a little prayer that came in my heart today when I was meditating. And those of us that are familiar with prayer, you know what we're about to dive into. Those of us that are tuning in and haven't prayed with us, then just take a moment to pause in your day, pause whatever you're doing right now, and just find a comfortable seat or comfortable position, whatever that looks like. You can bring your palms to your heart if you like. Start to connect to your breath and start to relax your body. Notice your mind. If it keeps thinking and keeps jumping around to different thoughts, just start to soften the mind. And just hear my voice right now. And just let this be a time for you to receive grace, to receive connection, to receive whatever it is right now that your soul is needing, your consciousness is needing. Prayer is an opportunity for us to connect our individual soul with the super soul, our individual consciousness with universal consciousness, our individual self with our eternal beloved, irrespective of faith, religion, any material qualification, any barrier of time and space. Prayer moves beyond that. It's a language, it's a voice that moves beyond all constructs, and it reconnects us with our source, reconnects us with ourselves spiritually and with our higher power. This morning, a prayer came into my heart. My Lord, you are divine fire. And my soul is a spark in that fire. I contain all of your qualities. I'm fearless. My soul is imbued with truth, with knowledge, with wisdom. I'm compassionate, that I can see clearly in my life, that I recognize opportunities to serve in every single moment, that I feel beautiful, that I feel courageous, that I know the qualities of my soul, they're inherent with your qualities. I'm patient, I'm tolerant, I'm forgiving. Love flows from my soul constantly. All of these divine qualities and so many more, they're my nature. And somehow or other, I've fallen out of that fire. A little spark that's fallen out of that fire into the mud. Into the material world, I'm covered with a body, with a mind, with my false ego. And somehow or other, I'm feeling disconnected from all of those qualities. but through remembering you, through bringing you back into the center of my life, through calling out your names, through prayer, through meditation, through reflection, through seeing you in the hearts of every person in my life, through recognizing you in nature, through offering my life to you in service, I create that friction where that fire begins to ignite again. And it begins to purify my consciousness. And it begins to illuminate my heart so that I feel those qualities again come alive in my life. Let us feel that fire. Let us feel that friction as we're praying today. There's nothing else in my life that matters but to reconnect spiritually, to reconnect to our higher power, to feel the strength and to feel the power and the connection that comes, all of the qualities of our soul, they begin to shine through when we feel that connection. We create that friction through our spiritual practice. We create that friction through our sincerity, the intensity of our prayer, the conviction of our connection in our prayer. My Lord, help us to feel that connection. Help us to feel that fire within our hearts. Help us to feel our soul illuminating. And help us to bring that fire into our life. Help us to bring the torchlight of knowledge, of love, of compassion as instruments of that pure, divine fire of all of your beautiful qualities. All we want is that connection. And everything in our life comes from it. Let's bring that into the center of our life today. Let's bring our beloved Lord, our higher power, into the center of our life right now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Well, dang, bro. What do you say after that, huh? You just transported the universe. And Jeff's going, dang. I feel like there's like a microphone you just drop or something there. You're on fire.
Yeah, that's
so
what I
beautiful.
was feeling, that we're on fire, that we are on fire. That we're like kindling. We're like wood. And sometimes that wood is it's wet, right? And we got to put the fire on it. We got to keep the fire on it. We got to keep that friction, and it dries out, and then it catches fire. It catches fire, and that's what we're looking for in our life. We want to be on fire. We want to be light. We want to bring that into our life. We want that experience so much. That's what we want. Oh my gosh. I want that experience so much in my life. I want that experience. I don't want to just go through life like a wet log, right? I'm not on fire. I'm dull. I'm just none of those qualities are actually coming forth. I'm just this dull wood, No, I want to be on fire. I want to be dry kindling, that the moment I touch that presence of God, the moment I touch those prayers, the moment I call out to God, I feel that friction. I feel that fire, and I feel that start to come from within my heart. Those qualities, they start to shine forth. That light and that fire starts to shine forth. And so that's what I'm looking for. And I'm recognizing in my life, it's like that, right? It's like, you want to warm up, put your hands together, rub them together. They don't get warm after 1 second. They don't get warm after 2 seconds, They get warm after time. And when I stop rubbing my hands together and I'm in the cold, I'm in the darkness, I'm in the material world, I stop rubbing my hands together, they get cold again. I get cold again. That's just the nature of our environment. I got to keep rubbing it, and it's not just going through the motions, right? It's like, I'm going to start a fire, I'm just lighting matches and just, no, it's intention, and what to speak. If I'm starting it from scratch, if I'm starting it from friction, it takes so much focus and so much intention, that dry kindling, that right environment, that right atmosphere to create that fire. And it takes work. It takes work. So
somebody mentioned in the end, when you said the mantra, it was such an ignite. And it's kind of like, like when you're striking a match, it's like when you're chanting the mantra, it's like you're trying to strike that match against the heart and like trying to get the stick. You know what I mean? It's like you try to click the trigger
Yeah.
to get the lighter to light. You know, it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
the chanting of mantra is like kind of the striking of that match to get it to light. It's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking about the dry kindling. I remember Rukmini, Rukmini Walker. She's one of our dear elders in the community. Beautiful. She's just like this divine mother, this beautiful quality of a divine mother. And she was talking about our dear friend Joe, a very, very close friend of mine over many years in New York, Joe Carini. And she said, Joe is like dry kindling. You just, it's like you just touch the match and you just put it, and then that fire just ignites, And so I was thinking about that, how can we become like dry kindling? How can we become in such a way in our life that when we touch that spiritual practice, and we touch the mantra, when we touch association like this, when it touches our consciousness, that it ignites our consciousness, it ignites our heart, it awakens our soul. How can we become like dry kindling? And I was thinking about sincerity, but I was also just thinking about wanting to hear your thoughts. DG, and how we can actually, how can we set ourselves on fire spiritually?
I think that, I was thinking of that one is I think that idea of that I have to ignite myself, or I just have to stand in, Srila Prabhupada said that you become kind of what you associate with, and he gave the example of an iron rod. You know what I mean? And that when an iron rod, if you put an iron rod in ice, it becomes cold, just like ice. And if you take that same iron rod and you put it in fire, it becomes like fire, it becomes hot, just like fire. And so I think that we are like that iron rod, and we take on the qualities of whatever we submit ourselves to. And so, I was talking to a friend just yesterday, and they're talking about work, and they're talking about certain environments they're in, and they were just saying, I feel like I'm becoming a person I don't want to be, in some of the meetings that I'm in, and the conversations that I'm having, and things that I'm doing. And it's just, I think that, it also helps us suspend judgment on others, because we could easily become like the people we don't like in our lives if we submit ourselves to the right environments or the wrong environments. And so I think that it's just a matter of protecting ourselves from the environments that bring out the worst in us, and finding those environments that bring out the fire in us. And so actually the name, it's mentioned in Vedic literatures that God has three energies. There is the pure spiritual energy, there's the material energy, and then there's the living entity, which is you and me, and living beings, life, which is the marginal energy in the material world. And the name for that marginal energy of us, the living entities in the material world, it's a type of Shakti. Shakti means energy, and the Sanskrit word is Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha. Tatastha literally means situated on the beach. And so just like the shore, the beach is it could be situated on, is the shore situated on land, or is it situated on water? It depends on the time of day and the tide. The shore can be covered by water, and it can be considered part of the sea, or it can be exposed to the air and be considered land. And so we each have that potency, that potential of being covered by spiritual energy and being caught in that wave and being swept up in that fire. And we have that potency to be covered by the water, and covered by material energy, and covered by our lower nature. It gets swept up. And it's kind of like, we even have that saying, like, I don't know what got into me. You know what I mean? We get angry, or we get greedy, or we we just get swept up. And it's kind of like, especially in like take a walk through Times Square in New York City. I mean, not today, it's kind of quiet. You're not supposed to go anywhere, but like in general, like you go, or like imagine like this, the stock floor at Wall Street. It's just like, you can't help, you're in that environment, you can't help but get swept up in that feeling of like, I need more, I need this, you know what I mean? You get swept up, you know. That's why people go to baseball games and football games, because they want to go and be in that crowd and get swept up and like, yeah, you know, because we get swept up in those environments. And so I think it's a question of, what environment am I allowing myself to get swept up in? You know what I mean? In the movies I watch, the conversations that I have, and the music that I listen to, and the people that I hang around with, and what I put my consciousness, that's going to am I putting logs in the fire, or am I squelching it, you know, with wet wood, you know? So what kind of wood am I putting into the fire that I want to ignite? Because I'm to test the Shakti, I can be covered by, I have that potency. And so I think that you know, the way that the way that I light my fire is I find that it's, you know, in Vedic teachings, they have this threefold process of sadhana, sangha, and seva. You know, sangha is my spiritual association, my community, my friendships, my relationships. Who are the people in my life that I know are also trying to light their fire? And my sadhana, my personal, this is super, I feel this more than ever now. Like when I am focused in my spiritual practice, not just grinding out like a meditation every day, but like finding ways to connect through my personal time, my reading or my chanting. And then seva, finding some sort of, what's my service, whether it's something small or something big. You know, if those things are strong, I know my fire is burning bright. If those things are weak, I know the fire's not going to stay lit for very long. You know? So those are just, you know.
Beautiful. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're creating an environment, right? It's like there's an environment where a fire flourishes. You know, if it's wet and it's muddy and it's windy and it's the wrong environment, and that fire can't really burn within steadily to illuminate our consciousness, to purify our heart. You know, we create the right environment, create the right setting for it, you know, and then it can really flourish, you know. And
well, our good, go ahead.
Yeah, and if we're and I love the analogy, right? Okay, it's like I have this choice, right? I have this ability either to, if I'm an iron rod, right? I could be cold, I could be freezing cold, right? Or I could be hard as iron, right? And all the qualities of that hard iron. Or if I'm in that fire long enough, then I take all the qualities of that fire. So really exposing ourselves to that spiritual energy, really exposing ourselves in our lifestyle, that our values, that what we're putting through our senses and what's in our environment is lighting us on fire. So even if we feel cold, like an iron rod, you know, and hard and stiff, that being in that spiritual atmosphere long enough, steady enough, it starts to become malleable. It starts to melt, becomes burning hot like fire. And so it's such a beautiful, and you know, just being able to recognize our environment and what our activities are, and those qualities that they'll bring out.
Our good friend Rukmini Podar, another Rukmini, Rakam Ruksi, she mentioned, what if I'm burning in a different fire, the fire of material desire and energy? Sometimes it's a different fire. Sometimes the material world is likened to a fire, and I think that you know, we just, it may sound oversimplifying, but we just got to stop putting wood in that fire. You know, a fire burns when there's fuel. A fire burns when there's fuel. You know what I mean? And a fire will, and the thing is, once I stop putting fuel in the fire, it doesn't mean the fire goes out. The fire still needs to burn, because I've been fueling that fire for lifetimes. I've been fueling that. I've been stoking that fire good, you know? And so if I stop putting fuel in the fire, it doesn't mean the fire's going to go out. It means I need to let
big logs in there.
There's some big logs in there. You know what I mean? And so I got to let that fire burn. And sometimes I have to deal with the karma of the way that I've lit that fire for so long. And so I may have to deal with that. And I may have to, you know, put on certain fire suits to make myself, you know, protected from the burns or the ways in which that fire burns. And so I think that, but the faith is that if I stop fueling that fire, it will die out. And I just take those same logs and I put them in a different fire. And that's the beautiful part of devotional service
Mm-hmm.
of bhakti yoga, is that it's asking you to, it's Arjuna on the battlefield of the Bhagavad Gita. You know, it's take those same logs and just put them in a different fire. So you can be who you are. You can still do what you feel you're called to do in this life, but just shift the consciousness and do it as an
Mm-hmm.
offering rather than as a like trying to squeeze something out of others. Do it to serve other people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that when you do that, you'll find you'll find that the one fire goes down and the other fire burns bright, and it's actually becomes joyful. It actually becomes really
Mm-hmm.
joyful. Like I can say, like appreciating you, Vera, is one of my favorite things to do. It's a beautiful thing, and I could spend time trying to like squeeze out appreciations or try to get people to see me in a certain way. But it's like find people that you really love and admire and serve them and try to make them shine. It's like you'll find that when you try to make other people's fires burn, that your fire burns naturally as a result, and it's quite beautiful. It's quite beautiful the
Love
way
you, Baba.
spiritual fire works. Material
You light
fire is that
light my fire, Baba.
I need to put all the logs in my fire, and I need to steal logs from your pile in order to light my fire. Spiritual life is I'm going to put all my logs in your fire, and it's going to somehow make me burn brighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
and
take
that
all
mood
my
of
logs, Vera.
service.
My
You're
logs are in
always
the service of your fire.
giving so giving all your heart, DJ. And I'm loving the analogy and just being able to keep seeing that fire in our material life isn't material in its essence. It's just when
Mm,
it's just when it's separate from God, when it's separate from our spiritual aspirations. And so to be able to look at it, and I love Srila Prabhupada also gave an analogy of electricity,
mm.
and can see the different uses of electricity. Electricity can, make a
Yes.
refrigerator, right? It's a fire of electricity. It's this energy, the essence of fire that is either cooling a refrigerator or heating a heater or turning a light
Yes.
bulb. And so wherever we're taking that energy in our life, whatever we're doing with our intention, with our energy, it's either serving our higher power, it's either helping us to reconnect spiritually, to reawaken spiritually, or it's moving us in the direction of, okay, my logs are getting a little wet, or I'm covering myself back up again. I'm
Mm,
moving away. I'm using that energy to move away from God, from a higher power, from ourselves spiritually. And so to be able to just recognize, okay, I have energy. I have a tremendous amount of energy, actually, that qualitatively that I'm one with the divine, right? I'm a spark of that fire. I'm a spark of that divine fire. And that's my essence. And so what am I doing with that energy? Because there's some powerful energy every one of you guys has. I'm looking at the Zoomers. We have this beautiful display of all these incredible souls on here. So many of you guys tuning in on Instagram. What are we doing with that fire? What are we doing
mm,
with that energy? Where do we want to direct it? And the more that we're able to direct it, just like an electrical current, it has power behind it. There's power behind that intention. There's power behind that prayer. And how do we want to bring that into our life in a way which is truly meaningful, which is truly purposeful, whether it's sitting down to chant in meditation. I'm chanting those mantras and bring fire into it, bring that
mm,
intensity into it, bring that intention into it, bring that intention into that deep state of being. Let that
mm,
fire burn within, let that purification, that transformation happen. And so it's kind of like this, it's like, living life, kind of on the surface, or living life, like just with this like little baby, or like, hey, let's let that burn, for what's truly most meaningful for us in our life. Let's ask ourselves what that is today. What is truly most meaningful to us in our life?
mm,
Even if it's right now, just right now, like let's just meditate on it for a moment. What's truly most meaningful to you in your life? What is that
mm,
today? Where am I going to direct my fire? Where am I going to direct that electricity, that energy? Where am I going to direct my consciousness?
mm,
Where am I going to direct it today? I have an opportunity to do that, even if it's for a minute, even if it's for 30 seconds. I have an opportunity to direct it as an experiment to see what
mm,
unfolds, to see what comes
mm.
from it, see if we get charged up.
Mm. Our good friend Sarah LaFleur, I think in South Jersey, says that today I'm going to burn the fire. Today I'm going to burn that fire by winning the competition of service with my partner. My turn to do the
Amazing.
dishes.
Amazing. Amazing. Right. It's in these practical things. It's beautiful, Sarah. Love it. Love
Yeah.
it.
One thing Naushin mentioned, and we'll wrap it up. We'll go a few minutes extra because we started a few minutes late, but she,
Oh, well,
she,
we
she
got
made
a
a beautiful
huge
parallel.
chat box going.
Yeah. She said, anything with heat encourages transformation. Tapas, the fire of transformation. The word tapas literally means heat, but it's used
Mm.
to communicate austerity in spiritual life. And that sometimes that service is an austerity. And so I think that sometimes, it says that, there's the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance, that are used in Vedic thought. And the mode of passion is generally that thing which, sometimes feels great in the beginning, but it feels like nectar in the beginning and poison at the end. But things in the mode of goodness very often feel like poison in the beginning, but nectar in the end. There's like a delayed gratification. And so I think that material fire, it's something that kind of feels gratifying in the beginning, but ultimately burns you in the end. And spiritual fire, it's something that feels like it burns you in the beginning. It's an austerity to the ego, but it's soothing at the end. You know what I mean? And so when I start to offer my logs into your fire, it's going to burn me
Mm.
initially in a painful way, because I'm performing that austerity of selflessness.
Mm.
And I'm letting some of my ego go. And I'm letting some of
Mm.
my need for material gratification go into service of not your material pursuits, but just in the terms of your well-being. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's that tapas, that fire of transformation, initially burns because it's a death of the ego is slowly dying. And so,
Mm-hmm.
but that ego has been a fire on my heart that I want to soothe. And so, I just was thinking that the word tapas literally means heat, and austerity and spiritual. The greatest austerity is not I'm going to fast all day, I'm going to do this or that. The real austerity is austerity of the ego. Radha Swami sometimes would say, dip. Sometimes yogis will take cold baths. So several of us were in the Ganga, and we took this cold bath in the Ganga, and it's an austerity, and also to just bathe in our holy waters. But he said the real austerity is to dip your ego into the frigid waters of the river, and to allow that ego to take the austerity of not seeking praise but seeking to praise, not seeking validation but seeking to give validation, not seeking to take but seeking to give. So
Amazing,
I
DJ.
love
We're
this.
going
I
to
love you guys. I love everybody here. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go light some fires.
Yeah, we're going a little over today because we started late today. So thank you
Yeah.
guys for sticking with us. And yeah, I was just thinking about that fire that's burning up the unwanted things, right? The
Yeah.
fire that is illuminating the pure self, the pure soul, right? The
Yeah.
light and the warmth, and it's intense at first. So let's see, where are we taking that? You were saying, did you? Where are we taking that fire? Where are we gonna direct it? Imagine it just like you have your little electricity plug. Now we've had a little bit of prayer. We've had a little spiritual dialogue. We've generated a little friction. We've got a little bit of fire going right now. Where are we going to take that fire? How are we going to keep building that fire? And where are we going to take that into our day? We're going to take it into our eating that banana, cooking that meal, that friend that we're connecting with, whoever it is, whatever is going on. I'm bringing that fire. This banana, whoa, whoa. It's a miracle,
Bananas,
this
Vivi. We got bananas. Oh my
this
God, Vivi's eating a
flower,
banana.
the
She's eating a
sunshine.
banana. Vivi's eating a banana right now on Zoom.
Whatever it is that we bring it in, let's bring in that fire of our consciousness of gratitude. Let's bring it in. Let's bring it in. Let's illuminate our life.
All right, that was so inspiring. I'm gonna go eat a pint of ice cream and watch a movie.
All right, sounds great, did you?
No,
Bring fire
wrong
into
answer.
it. Bring fire into it. Bring fire into it.
Yeah, no, I
Melt that
love you
ice
guys.
cream.
I love you guys so much. This has been super inspiring. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go. I got 4 bananas on my counter. I'm gonna go grab one. And
Awesome, brother.
I want to just to some closing announcements, and maybe Bryn, you could put some of these on the chat board before we go. A couple of things. May 1st, we want to start shifting over. We've been doing Instagram Live. We want to shift as many over to please join our Zoom board. We started Instagram Live. We're going to be shifting over to Zoom. We already have some people joining us on Zoom. We'd love it. If you're tuning Instagram Live, please consider joining us on Zoom, because we want to be starting that to become our main platform for our live broadcasts. You can go to bhakticenter.org/online to find where we, to get our Zoom link, or you can write to us at prayerrevolution@bhakticenter.org. We'd love to get your comments. Some of you guys are asking questions. We weren't able to get to all of your questions, but please continue to put them on the chat board. Please write to us at prayerrevolution@bhakticenter.org, and you can get the Zoom link, or you can find it online. The chat board on Zoom is where we interact. You can put questions and comments, and also we'll track them there and post some things. And so please join us on Zoom. Check us out there. And lastly, just for all of you guys out there, we've got this podcast going. We've got several other podcasts that we have going on. Vira does a weekly podcast with his wife on spiritual relationships. Our good friends Jai Jagannath, Kishore Chandra do an evening podcast, all on Bhakti Center Live. We're trying to provide as much free and inspiring content for you guys. My wife and I are doing a community group starting next week. And so, and some people are going through tough times financially, and we want to be here for you. And at the same time, some of you guys are doing okay, or you have some people are looking for ways to support and ways to give. And so if you want to go and support the Bhakti Center at bhakticenter.org/support, for those of you who feel inspired or within your means, you can help keep us going. bhakticenter.org/support. We always appreciate the ways people can contribute or keep us going, and help keep these programs being offered to those who need it. So we love you guys. We appreciate all of you so much. It brightens up my day. I feel lit up. I don't know about you. Yeah.
Super grateful for you, DG. Grateful for all you guys joining in today and keeping this going. Have a beautiful day.
We'll see you guys so much. Thank you. Be in touch.